You have two scenes with, you have Jasmine Guy and you have John Schneider, and this is your first movie. Did you have to sort of step up your game when you step in with people like that are just genuinely known in Hollywood, known around the country? What was that like, kind of stepping on set with both of them?
It was really great. It was really honored. I felt very honored to be working with actors who've been in the business for such a long time and have such a great trail of work, Mm-hmm. And yeah, you kind of feel like by them sitting in front of you, you just kind of naturally you want to step it up, and you feed off each other. You sit a little taller. You feed off of each other in a really great way, and obviously with the dialogue between Jasmine Guy and between the nurse and Hannah, that scene is, tough, and I remember feeling like I said earlier, you just really get into it, and she was so professional, and the room was 110 degrees, and she sweat just pouring down her chest and her face, and she was so in it and so focused. Nothing could really deter her from that, and I was admiring that the whole time, and just trying to stay in that kind of neck to neck with her, and yeah, it was cool. And with John as well, he's so. You never feel like he has acting on his sleeve. He just says his lines, and they come out very naturally, and you just kind of naturally enter into it, and you enjoy. You don't realize, I'm working with John Schneider. I used to see him on TV when I was 5, and my dad would watch reruns of The Dukes of Hazzard, and in Smallville. With young Superman, just wow. These surreal moments came later. In the scene, you really just try to step it up. You just try to stay on the same level, and kind of you to rising the bar, So yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, because you get to work with them. You've worked with them right before or after this movie?
Yeah, right before.
Okay.
In a film called Not Today. And John and I are husband and wife in it. And he, again, I remember walking into the first scene with him, and he's just, you just look at him and you're like, oh, Duke, and wow, and I think I had your poster on my wall. And but the greatest thing about John is that he is such a good man, and it just completely emulates from him, and so you just feel this presence as you work with him that you can't go wrong.
Right.
And he's really there cheering you on, so it's a great experience.
And it's very, I believe that film is a collaborative medium, not a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So I like people around me where we can all kind of work it out to find the best idea together. Mm-hmm. And John's a great collaborator. I mean, I remember my first kind of toy, I was probably 3 years old, and real small, but I remember it vividly. I went over to a neighbor's house that my brother and I did, and they opened up an old toy chest and said, hey, you can pick any toy you want. What do you want? And out I picked the General Lee, the car for Dukes of Hazzard. That was my first toy, and so it was amazing to see that we worked with John, but he was so collaborative, and he's been in the Directors Guild since before I was born. So, it's been amazing to see that he's such a seasoned voice, and he's such a great collaborator, has such great instincts, and everybody really collaborated on the film, so the film became better. You want a film to become better when it gets filmed, so you want the film to be better than the script, not the other way around, which often happens. And so that's what I love about October Babies. The film just kept getting better, because we were all trying to make it better together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, when he walked on the screen, because I watched Smallville too, but I grew up with the Dukes, so there was a moment where the theme song started playing. Yeah. My wife was like, shh.
My dad found out that he was playing my father in the film, and we were out to eat at this restaurant, and he just grabbed the waiter. He's like, "Hey, guess what? My daughter's going to be in a movie with Bo Duke." And then the busboy came, and he's taking him. He's like, "Guess what? My daughter's going to be in a movie." I'm like, "Dad!"
I loved it. I was getting Facebook messages and phone calls going, "So you have this scene with John Schneider. What's it like?" You're going, "I cannot tell my secrets," but he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good individual. I really
great.
enjoyed getting to know him.
Does having people like that on the project, obviously Jasmine was in a different world in the 80s and 90s, does that help bring a little bit more attention to the project that people might go, what are they doing in a movie about?
Yeah, it does. And I think they're very bold for taking these roles, especially Jasmine. That's a bold role to take.
Yeah.
And that's another scene that the movie hinges on. Very, very important. And we wanted somebody that was just honest and real and mesmerizing. And she was, I remember the first time we read through the script together, and I was just like, I was moved to tears by her portrayal and her honesty. So what we wanted to do was, you see some new voices in October Baby, some new faces, and I think, you know, you're going to see a lot more from Rachel. And I think Jason did terrific, and all these kids that maybe you haven't seen before. Chris Sly from American Idol, his first movie. But what we wanted to do is put some very seasoned voices around them. So you have these people that you know very well to kind of surround these new individuals that you haven't seen before. And it's a great mix.
Yeah.
You know, the movie feels fresh and new, and yet it feels familiar because of some of the faces that are in the movie.
Because Rachel talked about it, Jasmine's dialogue kind of cuts like a knife. You know,
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of brutal, and it must have been like, how do you prep for a scene like that? Because it must be just sort of a little uncomfortable to sort of, I mean, you lay it out there, you write it, but...
Yeah. I think they both did a phenomenal job with that. And in fact, when we filmed, she gets that information, and then she goes out in the hallway and just kind of literally melts because of the gravity of the information. And the way we did that scene is we just put cameras in the hallway to where Rachel just heard it from Jasmine while right in the hallway and performed that scene.
And it was planned that way, right?
that
Because
was-
it happened that way, and you guys were like, get the cameras out.
Yeah, that was just kind of her response
Right.
to the information. But it is, you know, we did all this research on the issue, and it's very important to remember with October Baby that everything in the movie as applies to the issue is absolutely true, has absolutely happened thousands of times, and it's something we shall look at, although it's a fictional story.
Right.
So we did all this research on the issue, and then Teresa Preston, my co-writer, wrote the first draft of that scene. And I remember reading the first draft and was just blown away by it. I just thought it was everything we had researched in one scene. And I remember the line that came to me as I just in response to what Teresa wrote was, I didn't see tissue, I saw the face of a child. And that really is a big theme in the movie. You know, this is a child. This is a life. This is a life that is beautiful and should be celebrated. And then for a movie, I mean, for an actor like Jasmine to take on that role, it's a risky role to take on, and then to give herself to it the way she did. I was in tears the first time I heard her read it in the audition, and then when they did it together, we spent a whole day doing that scene, and it was a riveting moment to just see them do this scene. It's like an 8-minute scene where they just talk, but it holds you on the edge of your seat because of the nature of the performances. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. I mean, sometimes you might see people that go out and protest and things like that. They might bring things like blunt language up, but it's rare to sort of see in the mainstream that talked about in such a way.
It's the truth, you know.
Yeah.